Good afternoon, guys, gals, non-binary pals. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Uldir Raid. Not going to be going too in-depth into like boss mechanics, this and the other. Just going to give my general opinions on the raid, touch on each boss briefly, general vibe, atmosphere, trash, how classes are playing, mechanics, this, that, and the other. So yeah, if you feel like listening to me talk about the raid for a bit, then please do stick around. But if not, well, thanks for clicking on the video, and might see you next time. Alright, so going in, the raid was really, really cool to look at aesthetically. They kind of carried on a bit with the Underrot color scheme, where it was kind of like silver and red, and just, but they expanded on that even further by giving it like that like goldish Titan style theme. I really liked how a lot of the architecture resembled the Chamber of the Avatar in Tomb of Sargeras, because, that was part of kind of like a Titan facility, apparently. It was something used to imprison the Dark Titan's avatar, so yeah, I guess. And Uldir is a Titan facility. They had like, they had the heads with the statues and like the gold eyes and whatever. Yeah, that was pretty cool for some of the bosses. And I love how the first boss has no trash. Boom. Boss. Love it. Granted, the rest of the raid did not follow this model, and some bosses like Zul, for example, had some of the worst, longest, most painful, just die already trash, probably in a very long time, I would say. The trash before Zul was a big pain in the ass, and I think anyone would agree with that. But yeah, the first boss, Talok. Yeah, I don't know if he's supposed to be, but he kind of reminds me of, in Greek mythology, Talos, the big construct kind of guy, on a similar name, similar theme about him. He was alright. You DBS him, you move away from stuff, and then I kind of like how the elevator became a mechanic. So there was a legitimate elevator boss. Yes, there was an actual elevator boss, in a sense, because the boss was one with the elevator, and you had to move down and this, that, and the other. Had to kill some Az when he was immune. Now, me being the dumbass that I am, I continued to attack him when he was immune, because, yeah, I was streaming, I had music on, I was talking to chat, I wasn't paying attention all that much, but, we're decently skilled, raid guild, I would say. We're heroic raiding guild, my guild and I. Like, typically, we clear normal. Usually, it depends. Like, Emerald Nightmare, like, the first night, boom, cleared, but that was generally pretty easy. Then Antorus, there's just so many bosses. That's why it took us as long as it did. There's 11 bosses. We killed from Garothi, Worldbreaker, to Agrimar within our raid time, which is like 3.5 hours. And we just killed Argus, on the next reset. We actually did not kill Gahoon in our two main raids. We got him down to like his last phase, but we're gonna go back in on Sunday, I think, and finish him. The bosses aren't hard, but like, if the majority of your raid is going in blind, with the exception of like the raid leader and an officer or two, then it shows that you do have to learn a lot of these mechanics. Like, yeah, the raid leader's telling you what they are, but a lot of people are learning it live, which I like. I like when people learn mechanics live, and you see after a few pulls, people already doing a lot better than when they first pulled it. But yeah, Talok was a one-shot. Then the second boss, Mother, which is going to be a pug killer. I'm telling you right now, that bitch is going to be a pug killer. Just calling it right now. The whole having to stagger out different groups, going through the blue room at different times, and doing that like twice, I think, throughout the entire fight. And we had like a full raid at this point. We had 30 people, so we had to stagger that out like 6 times or something, which was kind of a pain in the ass, but it was cool. I liked it. And I like the very simple mechanic of the entire room getting blown towards the fire, and then there's a lot of fire to get out of. So like, there's a lot of very simple memes in this raid already. Boss 1, elevator boss. Boss 2, so many ways to die to the fire. So yeah, that was a good time. And then after that, we did, what was it, Feated Devourer, I think was after that. Discount Guarm with some blood and ads. I don't know. I mean, he was another one of those guys, like, you avoided the cone, you killed the ads, and he kind of just fell over. But he was alright. For boss number 3, he was alright. And then we got to Vectis, the blood dude. I like this one, because there was one soaking mechanic, which didn't, require 3 people in each, circle to stand in order for the raid to not, all fall over and die. It was just one person per pool, and then the boss would move around the room during those transitions. You just avoid them, and then you get them back into position, you move the thing out. It was nice. The mechanics were very simple, but they were constructed in such a way where you can still mess it up, and it felt pretty good to do it right. But yeah, he was an alright boss. Nothing too amazing. We had Zechvas, Herald of N'Zoth. He was alright. Again, a lot of simple mechanics. Move out of here with this, move over here with this. I mean, that's kind of raiding in a nutshell in a lot of cases. But I liked how he almost had like a Manaroth / botanist style AoE, where like it either starts big and then like shrinks, or starts small and then grows. But the entire AoE doesn't grow. There's a safe zone on either side. It's more of a ring instead of just one big radius. I like that because you can either move out preemptively or move in preemptively, kind of give you a little slight variation of how you can move. And me being a caster with only 11% haste right now, haste being very important, not having a lot of it, I don't like having to move around too much. I like being able to frickin' cast. But yeah, he was a good boss. You know, kill some ads, which was nice for me because again, you know, juicy destruction cleave. And yeah, that was Zechvas. And then we had Zul, probably my second favorite in the raid so far. Like again, we haven't killed Gahoon, but we got him in the last phase. We only had a few pulls at him before we had to call it. And funny thing is, we wiped more times in the first phase, which is supposed to be the easy phase. We wiped more then. Like our first attempt in his next phase, we got him like to his last little phase. So yeah, Gahoon, he's one or two pulls on Sunday and he'll go down. But Zul, his trash was god awful. It was like what 10 minutes or something for his trash, if not more. I wasn't really keeping track, but it felt like it anyway. And he was an ad fight, which in Legion I would have been all over that shit because you know by the time we were raiding in Legion we had some decent haste. You know we can make some stuff, we can make stuff happen better. The global cooldowns weren't cock blocking you. But in BFA, like the global cooldown changes, they're annoying, but I was never super triggered by them personally. Only every now and again did it bother me. But, you know, I like it. You know, I havoc something and then I blast something else. And then I can, as a blood elf, I can AoE purge the ads, you know, to kill them. And like I have some utility there, you know, interrupts with my pet. Like that was there was a lot going on in the Zul fight. And if it wasn't properly managed, it was fucking chaos. But if you managed it properly, it was actually really freaking fun. I loved it. And you know, he didn't drop his main hand for me, which would have been nice because it was one of two things on whole fucking raid that has haste on it. But yeah, that was Zul. He went down and he was a lot of fun. And then the real boss of the raid, Gravity. People falling into Mithrax's pit. Like seriously, before we pulled him, like legitimately pulled him 2 times, we had like 5 people pull him because they fell into his pit because they couldn't stand still and wait for the countdown. Yeah. My raid guild, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I love those guys. They're great fun and they're pretty good to raid with. But yeah, Mithrax I think is probably my favorite boss in the raid so far. Again, I've only been in there twice, and we've not even stepped foot into heroic yet. And my opinion on some bosses usually gets better. It doesn't usually get worse. But my opinion on bosses change with heroic. I think Mithrax will probably still be my favorite when we get into heroic. But like the way my guild usually goes is like we'll clear normal after like 1 or 2 zone-ins, and then we'll spend a few weeks clearing heroic, and then we usually get like half or just under half of the bosses in mythic down before the end of the tier. That's why I call us a heroic raiding guild. We're not cutting edge. We don't clear mythic. We just, you know, we raid mythic, but we don't clear mythic. We're a heroic raiding guild, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that. But yeah, Mithrax was definitely my favorite. There was so much stuff to, you know, again, to avoid, but like it was a positioning fight. And I like fights that mix up positioning with like actual proper mechanics and adaptability. Your raid utility was very important. It wasn't super static. Like when people got mind controlled and couldn't move inside the orbs, you needed various, you know, class abilities would shine in those. Like you had DKs with their death grips, you had monks with their, you know, with their ring of peace, I think it's called. You had druids with their cyclone. Succubus, a warlock succubus used to have a little bit of a knockback, but now it doesn't knock back anymore. So I was useless for that. Like I love when mechanics and like class mechanics especially go really well with raid mechanics. I couldn't do shit. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll try to fear them. We would just fear them in place and wouldn't make them run. I was like, damn it. God damn it. But Mithrax was great fun. And then when he would transition in his ad phase, of course you had, you know, ever since vanilla, we've had beams of death, but there's a beam of death while avoiding orbs, while killing visions, kind of like what we saw in Heroic Kill Jaden and, you know, even Sunwell Kill Jaden. And a few other fights we've had, you know, we've had to kill like player visages while killing 2 big ads that will sock you right in the face if you get aggro on them, and you have to tank them farther apart. So you had just even those transitions, you had a lot of little mechanics going on, which I really, really liked. And then he was probably our hardest boss, was Mithrax, but that's why I liked him, because there's a lot going on. Like all the mechanics are fair. It's like if a lot of people are getting mind control, it's probably because the range are stacked up, or the melee are all standing on top of each other. Or people don't know how to move out of each other's way, and then, you know, Jimmy, Hobnob, 1, 2, and 3 over there have to stop casting, and then they gotta move, and they're getting in each other's way. It's usually your fault if something goes on in that fight. There's a little bit of RNG, like who gets the orbs, but it all comes down to the raid has to get out of the frickin' way and stay spread out. which I like. That was a really good feeling when we got Mithrax down. Like, I don't usually go like, woohoo! When we, when we kill normal bosses, but Mithrax was definitely a bit of a woohoo moment. That felt pretty good. And then we got to big hungry boy Gahoon, who I like the idea of having to interact with other stuff completely out of the way of the boss and, and the trash and whatever to make the mechanics happen. Like, we had different groups it was monks and warlocks. Like, we had 3 monks, I think, and like 5 warlocks in our raid. Granted, we had a full raid of 30 people, but like, I was the one who was laying down the gate and clearing the blobs for the 2nd and 4th monk to roll with the ball to the other side of the room to activate that explosion. And that was pretty cool, being a part of that. I mean, I couldn't DPS anything, really, but DPS doesn't matter. It's all about the mechanics. And then when Gahoon finally popped, and like, before that, we had the ads to worry about. We died to ads several times before we even got to Gahoon himself. And, the Dark Young was one-shotting people, and people weren't getting the buff. It was like a 3rd pull before one of the officers was like, are DPS getting the buff? Yeah, I was one of those, don't judge me. But that was cool. Once you actually had that nice stat boost from that buff, it was really, really nice. Destruction was pulling some meaty fucking damage on that. And that's another thing. Done talking about the bosses for now. Just gonna talk real quick about how the classes are playing. Why is there no freaking haste gear dropping in BFA so far? I know we're only in the 1st raid, but even in Mythic Dungeons and Mythic Pluses, haste gear seems so rare. I'm sitting at, with enchants and stuff, I'm sitting at 11% haste. Is that normal? Like, the highest haste, character in our guild right now has 13% haste. Like, again, with new raids coming out, more content coming out, higher item levels coming out, we'll have more haste. But I feel like now I think we should just have a little bit more, maybe just a little bit. I don't know. Like, Destruction plays like ass without haste. Because Chaos Bolt, even with like, flashback, reverse entropy, and, various, Azeroth gear procs, yeah, you can get some nice haste sometimes. But like, even when it feels like your incinerates are taking a million years to cast, which you need to generate soul shards to cast your Chaos Bolts, and then you're using your conflag for that nice little haste buff for the Chaos Bolts because they take an eternity to cast regardless, it feels kind of crappy. Like, my opening burst as Destruction is fucking juicy. Like, I'm like, if I get my opener right, I'm always top 3 of the meters in the early portion of the fight because our burst is just amazing. But then like Affliction and BM and, at least half the other people in my raid will pull ahead of me before the end of the fight because my sustain is just not that good without haste, unfortunately. Didn't mean to ramble. I didn't really plan on rambling too much about my class, but yeah. So that was my brief opinions on the raid. I love the art style. That silver and red was really, really cool. Like, some of that gold Titan architecture is really, really cool. For a launch raid, it was not bad. It wasn't bad. Wasn't like, it didn't blow my dick off. Like, Mithrax was a really cool fight, and the other fights were okay. You had to stay awake, which I liked, whereas Emerald Nightmare didn't really seem like that. It was a decent launch raid, decent bosses. I want more haste gear, please, 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 please. And also, I read a tweet by Preach Gaming, by Mike, that apparently you couldn't use Vanthus runes on Gahoon because they spelled Gahoon's name wrong in the code for the Vanthus runes. Oh, Blizz, small indie dev, am I right? All right, that's all I got from me today. Sorry I rambled a little bit, but right before I go, yes, I am streaming again. Not every day, but I am streaming at least a couple times a week. I'm trying to. I got college now. I'm going to be working again. So it's not going to be a lot, but I will be streaming at least once, hopefully twice a week, maybe more, possibly, depending on what I got going on. Twitch.tv/AJ9Lives, exactly how it's spelled in the YouTube channel. I am now an affiliate. Not that that's a massive achievement. Sorry if that triggers anybody. But yeah, I'm an affiliate now. Hopefully I can start taking streaming a little bit more seriously. Maybe get some more YouTube videos out every now and again, but again, real life comes first, especially school. This is my last semester at my county college, so then I got like big boy college coming up next. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for being awesome. Until you see me again, my friends, live well.